Have you ever wondered what's really going on inside the mind of someone who absolutely refuses to get a tattoo? Not just people who aren't interested, but people who feel a strong, almost visceral resistance to the idea. They rarely think of themselves as fearful or uptight. Most believe they're being practical, protecting their body, or simply staying true to who they are. So what is the psychology of tattoo refusal really like? In this video, we're going deep, exploring the hidden thoughts and personality structures that fuel it, how history shaped these attitudes, what science has uncovered about why some people can't imagine ever getting inked, and what all of this reveals about human identity and control. Let's get into it. What's actually happening in their mind? According to psychological research, tattoo refusal is rarely about simple aesthetics. It's rooted in deep personality structures and a fundamental need to control one's body and future self. People who strongly refuse tattoos tend to score higher on conscientiousness, one of the big 5 personality traits, meaning they're more future-oriented, deliberate, and risk-averse. A tattoo isn't art to them. It's a permanent commitment in a world that keeps changing. There's also a concept called body integrity. For many refusers, the skin is a boundary where the self ends and the world begins. Altering it permanently feels like a violation of something deeply personal. And then there's anticipated regret. Studies show it's one of the strongest predictors of avoidance behavior. Tattoo refusers mentally simulate the future. What if my tastes change? What will this mean to me in 20 years? Research on affective forecasting confirms humans are genuinely bad at predicting their future preferences, and tattoo refusers, often intuitively aware of this, simply choose not to gamble against their future self. Where does this come from historically? Tattoos are ancient, at least 5,000 years old. For most of human history, they carried spiritual and social significance. The stigma is actually recent. In 18th and 19th century Europe, as tattooing spread from colonized cultures back to the West, it became associated with sailors, criminals, and the working class. The Victorian middle class began equating clean, unmarked skin with moral purity and respectability. That association, blank skin equals virtue, embedded itself in Western culture and never fully left. Entire generations were raised with the implicit message, good people don't do that. Tattoo refusal today still carries echoes of that programming, even in people who've never consciously thought about it. Who refuses most and why? Older generations refuse at much higher rates. They absorbed the stigma during their formative years, when attitudes stick hardest. Conservative religious communities show strong refusal too, often citing bodily sanctity. Psychologists identify a personality cluster that overlaps heavily with tattoo refusal. People high in harm avoidance, low in sensation seeking, and high in need for cognitive closure. These individuals prefer clear rules and predictable outcomes. The permanent, open-ended, often countercultural nature of tattoos runs directly against their psychological grain. Crucially, most refusers don't identify their reluctance as fear. They frame it as wisdom, discipline, or taste. Just like the psychology of bias shows that people rarely recognize their own conditioning, tattoo refusers rarely see how much culture and personality are doing the talking, rather than pure free choice. What does science say? Research shows that disgust sensitivity plays a measurable role. People with stronger disgust responses to needles and blood are significantly less likely to get tattoos. That's a neurological predisposition, not a moral stance. Studies show a false consensus effect. Refusers raised in tattoo-free environments genuinely believe most thoughtful, successful people share their position, even when the data says otherwise. But here's what's hopeful. A 2024 Harris poll found nearly 40% of Americans now have at least one tattoo, up from 21% in 2012. As people have more contact with tattooed individuals they respect and admire, the automatic disgust and judgment responses measurably weaken. Norms shift, stereotypes lose their grip. Here's the bottom line. Refusing a tattoo isn't inherently fearful, and getting one isn't inherently brave. The psychology shows it's about personality, culture, and the deeply human need to feel like the author of your own story, on your own terms. Some people tell that story in ink, some tell it in its absence. Both reveal more about the hidden architecture of the human mind than most of us ever stop to notice. Are you someone who'd never get a tattoo or can't imagine life without one? Drop it in the comments. If this helped you understand the why behind the choice, hit like and share it. The more we explore human behavior with facts instead of assumptions, the better we understand ourselves.